every update, there's something. Changes that go under the radar aren't mentioned in patch notes. Today, we're going to break down those that happened with the mid-season update and the 80s Action Heroes introduction. So as we go along, let our thoughts down below. Is there any change, firstly, that I may have missed here that you picked up on that is not mentioned in the patch notes? What of these changes do you like the most, and anything in between, I guess? As well, if you enjoy the video, make sure to drop a like down below, and of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure you get subscribed so don't miss a single thing regarding all things Warzone, Cold War, and anything COD related. We're on the road to 500,000 subscribers, so if you guys would like to join the community, I'd love to have you. That said, let's jump right into it. So, keeping up with the tradition here in terms of these changes that have gone under the radar, let's start firstly with Cold War, since that's the mainline title this year. For Cold War, we see a handful of different changes here that were made without being mentioned in the patch notes. One that is actually quite helpful is that of ping icons back in the starting menu here at this. If you end up hitting your start button to bring up your menu to, say, change classes or leave the game, you can see in the bottom left corner in Cold War, you now actually have a connection meter that showcases your ping as well as your packet loss. Now, for the example here that I gave that wasn't actually in a public match, so I'm playing on my own local host, therefore I don't have any packet loss, I don't have a ping here, and so therefore if you jump into an actual game, those numbers will fluctuate and it'll be something that will at least showcase a little bit of how that connection in game is going for you. That's great because it wasn't there beforehand, and you could see that packet loss indicator on the side of your screen if it popped up, but this will give you an accurate representation whenever you want to see it. So definitely nice addition here at this, if you ask me. The next change that goes under the radar is that of a new Dark Ops challenge that was introduced on the Zombies end. But if you guys have followed anything in relation to zombies this year, you know that the Dark Ops challenges actually do get updated every so often when a new Easter egg quest is implemented. So with this update, we ended up getting the new Outbreak Easter egg introduced here, part 1 of 2, the second part launching with season 4 as confirmed by Treyarch. But with this, we end up seeing the overall quest line of the Ravenov implications that will give you a Dark Ops challenge upon completion. So as with other introductions here, like in Firebase Z, this now allows for not only more challenges to be introduced, but more Dark Ops challenges as time goes on. So you'll likely see more of these introduced here throughout the rest of the year, but just know that was also introduced and went under the radar here in terms of that. After that, we ended up seeing that Combined Arms Crossroad actually returns to the Combined Arms map pool. It was pulled for some time here, but it has been reintroduced, which is definitely nice. That's a big one for anybody that wants launcher challenges done, because there are those tanks, there are those turrets you can end up targeting. So there's a lot of stuff that goes along with that that was out of the rotation for quite some time. There actually was in Die Hardpoint with this new introduction as well. It's now no longer a secret or anything like that, but there was a callable nuke streak once you end up getting to, I believe, 25 kills, in which you can call in the nuke and then end up killing everybody off, which is pretty cool. Of course, that's not something that I expect to stay around the entirety of Black Ops Cold War, because Treyarch isn't really a huge fan of these callable nuke streaks. That's been something in their design philosophy forever. That actually goes back from the past decade or so that they've been kind of against that sort of stuff. So I think this is just kind of a neat little one-off with the mode, just like how we saw with Dropkick, the entire end goal was to end up getting a nuke called in on the map. So that was introduced with this update as well. There seems to be a slide cancel revert as well, where for those that are movement fiends here, you know that slide canceling is a broken mechanic, but one that you heavily utilize because it has a ton of positives to it for you as a player. But with the last update before Season 3 Reloaded, we had an update that kind of made you finish out that slide. There was no ability to really cancel it, so it was a heavy nerf to slide canceling, but with this update, it seems to have reverted that back so that you can in fact slide cancel around the map, getting better angles and the better advantages that it affords with that movement. So that was reintroduced here with this update. And then finally, rounding out the Black Ops Cold War side of things, we actually have 2 free bundles that you may be interested in seeing. Firstly, there actually is a brand new pistol blueprint that looks pretty cool. It's got the sort of 80s Miami Vice theme to it. That sort of synthwave design, I guess you could call it. But this is the Ocean Breeze 1911 blueprint, and it doesn't show up in the shop, but instead, if you end up going to your blueprints in your customization with the creator class, you can end up either choosing from owned blueprints, or you can take a look at things in the shop. And if you scroll down the list a little bit, you'll see the Ocean Breeze, which comes along in a free bundle. So all you have to do is preview that bundle, go to it, and then you can purchase it for 0 COD points, totally free, and get this pistol all for nothing. Plus, it comes with a double XP token for 15 minutes as well, so win-win in that regard. But talking about XP, that's actually not the only thing that you can see in terms of that, because this, it seems to be popping up for people's messages of the day and things like that, but it's a PlayStation exclusive, this one unfortunately, in which this is a 5-hour package of double XP tokens. 5 individual 1-hour tokens that you can use in Black Ops Cold War, or if you know how it transfers over, you can actually use it in Warzone as well. But this again is a free bundle you can end up redeeming and getting a nice hefty bit of double XP to go along with it. Jumping over to the Warzone side of things, well, first and foremost, one of my favorite parts is there's new lobby menu music here. It cycles through a couple of different tracks, one being a little bit more synthwave and electronic in style, the other being a more so rock version of it, but we got some new music here to match the theme and tempo of the new background screen, but also the overall theme of the event itself. But firstly, when you talk about gameplay changes themselves, the biggest was that of Rebirth Island's lighting change. This, I think, has since been amended in notes after the fact from the initial patch notes, but I'm gonna be real with you, I'm still gonna put it in here because I think this is the best lighting that we've seen for not only Rebirth Island, potentially though, all of Warzone. I'd love for this to come over into Verdansk. I'd love, at least in Verdansk, there to be a little bit less lens flare with that global lighting. That sun is incredibly bright in Verdansk, so I am totally cool with taking off that sort of orangish hue that comes at sunset or something like that, while also giving us maybe a more clear depiction of the map if you take that lighting from Rebirth Island and transfer it over to Verdansk. But I think Rebirth Island looks phenomenal with this new lighting change. On Verdansk, though, we did see some geo and cover changes as well in a couple of different areas. The most notable, I think, though, is that of airport and the surrounding hangars. This makes traversing the map a little more difficult or a little easier depending where you are. In some areas, it's a lot more built up with different cargo planes, different debris and things like that, but in other areas, all cover has been completely removed. Where I'm thinking of primarily is that sort of elbow where the hangars meets the actual runway. Right there, there's nothing there anymore, which is a death sentence if somebody's holding you and you have to cross that path to get to either safe zone or to wherever you need to meet up with a team, whatever it may be. But that difference in cover is drastic. You may also notice a few slight alterations in terms of geo and other items littering the map in other places, but to me, that is by far the most notable of those changes. Now, talking plunder in particular, you may notice that the attack choppers actually spawn in a little quicker. Now, this is due in 2 parts. One, if you're in the downtown area, you'll notice it's right over the Nakatomi Plaza building, because that actually starts as soon as the C4 is touched and that first initial mission is initiated. Once that happens, it spawns in an attack chopper, but also the overall attack choppers throughout the entire map. That's triggered at a certain point when a team reaches a certain cash denomination, and that is very much so happening quicker now because people are getting into that vault, getting $500,000 in cash from Plunder's reward in that vault. So if you've noticed that those have changed and that's been an altered difference, that they're coming in a lot quicker, then in other money-making terms in Plunder, most wanted contracts were actually introduced within Plunder for the first time. And so far, from my understanding, I don't play a whole lot of Plunder, but I looked into it a little bit. I heard this is phenomenal for cash. This being, of course, something that marks you for everybody to see as that most wanted target, a sort of high-value target that players will get rewarded if they take you out in terms of cash. But if you survive that, you're golden. You get a ton of cash off of that, which you activate one of those, end up opening up the vault, and then getting the reward out of that. That's a ton of cash right up front and basically guarantees you a really nice head start for the win in Plunder. Now, the only other thing that changed here in terms of unmentioned changes is one that was kind of an inadvertent change. That being that I heard a lot of people having their settings reset, and myself included. I think my graphics settings changed a ton whenever I logged on for the first time. But if something feels off, maybe check your settings, because there may have been some things that changed without you actually going in and adjusting them. But that said, that is the changes here that were made out of the mid-season update that were not mentioned in the patch notes or were sort of stealth updates to the games. So that said, that's where we're going to wrap it up. I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of these changes? Are you guys liking some of them? Personally, my favorite, I think, is the change to Rebirth Island's lighting. I would love for that to come over again, man. I love that change. So let me know your thoughts down below. What's your favorite change? If you guys enjoyed the video, though, make sure to drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so there's a single thing running all things Warzone, Cold War, and anything COD related. We'll keep it today with all of it. Also, a final reminder here that my friends over at G Fuel bumped up code ESPRESSO to 30% off for the rest of the day and into tomorrow morning. So if you guys are interested in getting a restock, checking it out for the very first time, whatever it may be, links in the description below. And if you use code ESPRESSO, it nets you a nice discount. As best of time as any with that extra discount going on. Then a big thank thank you to my friends Brandon, Falcon, Balsamic, and Omar for using code Espresso in the in-game item shop for either Warzone or Black Ops Cold War. Now, this is entirely optional, but if anything ever interests you within the in-game shop across any of the titles here, you can use creator code Espresso in the store, and it does help support the channel a little further. It's entirely optional, but if you decide to do so, feel free to tweet me a picture. I'd love to shout out some of your generous support in upcoming videos. But that said, if you also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on both those. If you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link's down there in the description below. But all that said and out of the way, thank you guys all so much for watching. My name has been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.